Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Miki Haimovich, and I'm VP Business Development with RSIP Vision, a global leader in computer vision and deep learning. For this webinar, I will be hosting our CEO, Ron Soferman. Hey, Ron.
Hi, good evening, good morning.
It's not every day that we have the privilege of hosting someone with over 25 years of experience in computer vision and deep learning in the medical industry. So thank you very much, Ron, for finding the time to be with us today. We will be discussing AI in ophthalmology. As usual, we'll start with a few words regarding RSIP Vision, then talk about AI in ophthalmology. We're going to review several projects that we've done along the years. And at the end of the talk, we will have our Q&A session. So this is a good opportunity to ask you to send us your questions. If you have any question, anything that you would like to know about, and you know that at this stage, then feel free to send it right now. If there are any other questions that would come up during the webinar, please send them as they come up. And of course, you can ask later at the Q&A session itself. But really, this is very important for us for this to be a conversation. So please do feel free to share with us any idea that you have. So a few words about RSIP Vision. We are providing AI and deep learning solutions for image analysis. We stick only to image analysis. We do not do NLP or genomics or any other sort of deep learning. We stick to what we do best: image analysis, image processing. The solution is customized based on your project needs and your data set. Now, this is a very important point. At this stage in the life of the industry, it's very far from standardization. I don't know to what extent it will ever reach complete standardization, but definitely we can say that now is not that time. That means that if you're looking for an off-the-shelf product or solution to fit to your project, then the chances of finding something that fits exactly your project are very slim. So we take a different approach, and we start with your project needs. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes you want to do things faster. Sometimes you want to do things in a more cost-effective way. Sometimes you want to do things more accurately. Sometimes you want to quantify something that you haven't been able to quantify so far. And sometimes it's all of the above. And that's the center of the conversation. Okay, we understand your needs. Then we have a look at your data set. No two data sets were created equal. Okay, your data set is very much different than somebody else's, even if he also deals with ophthalmology. So once we have a look at the data set and we know your project needs, then we customize, we tailor-make a solution to fit your exact project needs. Okay, this in a nutshell is what we do. We've been doing that for over 25 years in the field with multiple repeat clients in the USA. As a result, we have extensive experience in all AI and deep learning techniques in numerous medical and pharma applications. We have an experienced team of over 45 engineers located in Tel Aviv, Silicon Valley, and Boston, as well as a medical team in staff to guide solution development, including radiology, pathology, and more. So the bottom line is, in case you plan to develop an AI solution, RSIP Vision is the safest, most stable way to do it. We have an experience in broad range of AI applications. I'm not going to linger over each and every one of them, but I will say that, as you can see, we've touched upon most of the common modalities in the medical field, whether it is radiology like CT, ultrasound, X-ray, MRI, and so on. To the right, you can see a few examples of OCT and other ophthalmology-related projects that we're going to cover today. And to the left, you can see various types and slides of pathology and microscopy. We've pretty much touched them all. So it means that in most cases, the modality that you're using would be very much familiar to us. The projects, of course, change, but the modalities are very much familiar to us, as well as the organs. Today, we're going to speak about eyes, but as you can see here, we've touched pretty much every organ in the body, as well as most types of tissues out there. A few words about the way we have the development process in place. Well, as I said, again, this is not a standardized solution. Okay, we're doing something especially for you. So when you knock on the door for the first time, and you're asking me questions, very good questions, like, how much will it cost or how long will it take? The answer is, it all depends. It all depends on your project needs. It all depends on your data set. So we want to start the conversation with a proof of concept. Having a proof of concepts enables us to do two things. The first one is to show you what the fuss is all about, because we all know, AI is a big word, deep learning is a buzzword, and so on and so forth. But the really important question is, what does it mean for me? Okay, and we want you to have a glimpse of that before we ask you to make decisions about the investment. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is that the proof of concept enables us to have a proper look at your data set and to understand your project needs and to start, designing and structuring the solution. So once we've had the proof of concept, we can definitely answer all the very good questions that we were asked before, such as the costs involved, the length of time, and so on and so forth. So we start when we sign a mutual NDA, CDA. Of course, your projects are sensitive. You do not want them to become common knowledge, and we are very well known for keeping the secrets of our customers with us. Then we define what parameters and deliverables are needed from the POC. These would not be the full parameters and deliverables of the complete solution. Okay, again, this is something initial, something to make you understand what we're talking about. And then the customer provides samples. Now, I know this is a big thing. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions about it during the Q&A session. So I'll start by saying that the number of samples you need for an AI solution is not so high. Okay, I know people are thinking about thousands and hundreds of thousands and so on and so forth, and that's very much inaccurate. Okay, the real answer is, again, it depends. It depends on your project. But even if you have only a few samples, it's not a reason to skip it altogether. Give us a call. We'll see what we can do with the samples that you have. We'll tell you exactly what you can make out of what you have right now. Another thing that is often associated with that are annotations. And yes, deep learning requires the samples to be annotated. And let me put it politely, many customers don't really like the idea of annotation. Again, that's very much understandable. We've learned that along the years, and we are here to help you with that as well. We have our own annotation team. We have semi-automatic annotation tools, and we can make all the annotation pretty much transparent as part of the general process. So again, even if you don't have annotated samples, this is not a reason not to pick up the phone. By all means, call us and we'll discuss exactly what the needs are for the POC. So once we've settled all of that, it can take up to 1 month, it can take a day, it all depends on you. We start developing the POC level solution. This is not a one-time thing. Okay, it's very important to say that once we were working with you, to some extent, we function as an extension to your research and development team. Okay, this solution is tailored for your needs. So it's very important for us to be communicating with you often. And we have weekly discussions and updates regarding the solution development. If anything comes up from your side, from our side, we just talk about it, and we're doing everything that we can that the POC will satisfy your requests. This could take a few weeks, sometimes a month, sometimes a little bit more. It all depends on the project. Once we have the POC solution ready, then we present it to you. Okay, you can really see what this thing looks like. You can present it within your organization, to your managers, to the stakeholders, to investors, if you're working for a startup, to everybody who should know about it. And at that stage, of course, we also provide you with our estimation with regards to the timeline and to the costs involved. And then once we get the green light, we start developing the first solution. Again, this is an iterative process that includes weekly discussions and updates regarding the solution development. Again, the time frame changes. Some projects are 2 months, some projects are 6 months. It all depends on your project. But even if we look at this entire period of time, you can see that within a few months, and not so many of those, you can have an up and running, a fully operative AI solution as part of your medical device, or as part of your drug development process, or as part of your research process. Whatever you need, this thing could be implemented in your software, in your platforms, pretty much by the end of the year, or by Q1 next year. So these were a few words about RSIP Vision. Now let's delve into AI and computer vision in ophthalmology. We have, again, an experience in broad applications. I'm going to speak about one of them. Ron is going to take you through most of them. You can see them here. And I'll start with a project that we've done for Tufts Medical Center in Boston. It's important to say that we're not a research company, okay? The absolute majority of the things that we do are for business companies, people who provide real-life medical devices or real-life pharmaceutical projects. And but every once in a while, you know, a research center knocks on our door, and if we can, then, you know, we're happy to help, which was the case in this case. So specifically, this was all about segmentation, classification, and quantification of dendritic cells in the cornea. So the first stage was to classify the corneal layers, and the one that we had interest in, or the one that the research was focused in, was layer B, the subbasal nerves. So the first thing we had to do is train the solution to classify between those 4 layers. As you can see, the numbers are extremely high, both sensitivity-wise and specificity-wise, and overall the area under the curve is 0.98. It's important to say that, you know, this is not necessarily a level that is reached in each and every project. Again, these things vary between the project, but it does indicate that deep learning systems can reach extremely high levels of accuracy. I believe everybody would agree that the 0.98 accuracy is something that is very hard even for the most professional human being. So this is very impressive, and we definitely take pride in that. So once we've classified the right layer, the next thing was to detect and segment the dendritic cells with that layer. So to the left, you can see the original image. In the center, you can see the result, okay, the dendritic cells that have been detected. And to the right, it's pretty much the same photo. We've just subtracted the background so it will be easier to see. Now, it's important to say, as you can see in the one in the middle, that it's not just about the color, you know. You can see that the dendritic cells are, you know, more pale than the background, but it's not just the color, it's not just the size, it's not just the shape, it's pretty much all of that combined, and the deep learning solution can really make the most out of each and every one of these parameters and come up with these results. So we've done the detection, we've done the segmentation. The next thing we were asked to do was the quantification. Now, this is something that we see more and more in the market, that people are more and more interested in quantification. And actually, it really makes sense, because when you need to quantify things very accurately and very quickly, your ability to do that as a person, as a human being, is somewhat limited. But with a deep learning solution, you can do that very accurately and in a moment's notice and without any error. So more and more customers are knocking on our doors and asking for that extra layer of quantification. In this specific case, the clinical approach chosen was that the level of dendritic cells is quantified based on density, area, and perimeter. Yes, these are 3 different parameters, but again, since you're doing that with AI, it doesn't really take longer in any way. So definitely you can quantify pretty much everything that you want, and you can do all of them together. The technical approach chosen was a comparison between the dendritic cells analysis of an image using deep learning and the ImageJ software, which is a semi-manual, quite commonly used for such tasks. And again, you can see that the numbers are extremely high, density-wise, area-wise, perimeter-wise. The deep learning system reached almost 0.99 accuracy, again, pretty much on all the parameters. Okay, so again, this is a very clear indication that the results achieved could be extremely high. This is a very interesting project that we've also published, and Ron Soferman, our CEO, was one of those publishers and one of the leaders of this research. So I'll hand it over to Ron to tell you a little bit about this research as well as other projects that we've done in ophthalmology. Ron, the floor is yours.
Yes. Okay, great. So I will start with just a very quick review. This is research that we've done, and there are some rare research, but it is all because we working in the front line of the search and the research. We find that sometimes we need to work with the hospitals as well. So this is a retinal layer segmentation using fully convolutional network in OCT images. And it's a very interesting project, and we'll get into details later on. But it's continue this discussion about research part. Now, let's go to the next slide. Here you can see something interesting, which is a panorama, retina panorama, that is done by merging images of different parts of the retina to one continuous image, especially in those cases where you don't have a very sophisticated or very expensive full scan of the retina. So automatically we are doing, first of all, detection and solving the puzzle. Then to get a real good fusion, we need to do something that is actually reprojection of the images back to some sphere, which is actually the eyeball sphere in the space, and only then you can find a way to put them all together one over the other and make a very smooth correlation. If you look at the fused image, you can see that there is no break and no doubling of the arteries, which is very important for the ophthalmologist to understand the full picture. If we jump 2 slides ahead, we can see that we also get these good results in different situations. This is telemedicine using a portable device. Sometimes it can be a portable fundus imager, or even using a smartphone with specific optics. the idea is the same, but the importance is that it can help us to overcome the different artifacts that can be shown in the sides of the image. If we look at this part, we can see some artifacts, but these artifacts are, of course, due to the fact that this is not the ideal optical device. Nevertheless, if we put the images one over the other, we can use the part of the image that has more information and to neglect the area where we have artifacts. So in that way, we can have much better images. In the next slide, we can see that we've done very similar process for OCTA. OCTA images are giving us the very detailed structure and flow and the blood flow information, but in many cases they are fragmented. You don't have a very wide field of view. So we got very good results in that area as well. Now, I want to speak a little bit about multimodality. And this is one of the important things when we want to have the maximum information from different modalities, like fundus imager and fluorescein and geography. And for those, and actually we invite to this lecture mainly people from the pharma sector and not only from the medical device. So we can see that in many researchers, we need to have information that will give us more insight about what is happening, and it sometimes cannot come from only one media or one modality. So we can fuse them, and we can see that the images are very different in colors, and even the fluorescein and geography is actually a video where during the injection of the fluorescein, in the first few seconds, you will see the arteries glows, and then the fluorescein will be absorbed by the tissue, and then it will be collected by the veins, and then the veins will glow. So the images are very different during this video. So first of all, we stabilize this in this video, and then we can continue and register it between the different modalities, like the fundus and this video. So we can see the results. This is also a very interesting application during operation. This is cataract operation, and you want to do a very delicate tracking of all the vicinity. Especially, you want to track where you have done the section, so you will be able to put the tools exactly in the same place. You can see here, and you don't have to do another cut in this area. So the tracking will do two things. First, it will track the motion, and also the amount of rotation that might be during this very intensive operation, where you have to break the lens and take it out and put the IOL. So this is an example for such an operation. Talking about the pharma area, we know that there's a lot of interest in solving problems of allergies or dry eye, which can be very irritating. and there's a lot of things that that are done, a lot of research that is done in this area. And talking about the tears, there's several sources for it. It may be the oily component that is coming from the meibomian glands. It can be the watery component coming from the lacrimal glands, or the mucin component that's coming from the goblet cells in the conjunctiva. And in that cases, when you have some problem and you want to know exactly what is the result of specific treatment, you're using some dye maybe, or some reflection that you have, and you want to count the cells, or have some understanding of how much effect it has, the work with computer vision and very often with AI will give much more efficient results. Let's move on to another application that is interesting. When you have some research concerning glaucoma, sometimes you want to know whether this is a close angle or open angle glaucoma. And it has a very, very crucial importance when you want to check your results of a specific medicine, and you want to know whether you are handling with situation that the overall structure is the cause of the glaucoma, or the trabecular mesh is the problematic area, and there's an open angle there. So in that cases, also a very specific way to help the preclinical and sometimes even the clinical trials to get to the right results. If we move on, we can see application that we've done in the OCT area. The first application is the cyst detection in the OCT images. One of the big, of course, revolution in the ophthalmology was the use of the OCT. And with the OCT, you can see what is happening in the retina, and especially the condition of the edema or the cyst, which is one of the causes for blindness. And if you handle it very in the right time, with the right injections, you can solve it, and the patient can regain the sight. There's two main ways to measure it. One will be the thickness of the retina. We'll see it in the next slide, but here, so we can see between the ILM and the RPE. So having understanding of this thickness will be a good way to shed a light. But if we return to the former slide, we can see that understanding exactly where are the cysts and how much of the phenomena is caused by cysts rather than general edema is very important to understand and research and find a solution for a specific phenomena. Because as soon as you have more degradation in this area, you can experience more this arrangement of the inner layers of the retina, which is very dangerous for the eye. So let's go to the next slide and even the next one. One of the important thing is to understand what is happening in the inner layers of the retina. So in principle, this problem has in the past many approaches, and it all works for healthy eyes. Whenever you have problems, they fail to give good results. In the next slide, we can see the start of the research that we've done, where we were using deep learning along with classical computer vision methods to get good results of the segmentation. So first of all, we were using UNet, which is widely used in medical application from CT to MRI, and we have a lot of experience with that. And we could train it over 24 cases, which is not so many. Especially because we had many B scans, but still it's not something that is very difficult to get. And also we were using for the annotation semi-automatic ground truth tools that will enable the doctor to only put 1 or 2 dots spots, and then it will automatically find the line that will give the separation between the layers. So all this interface helps to get the results, the good to ground truth from the expert without wasting his time. So using this network gave us a very good results, and actually it was the first steps. And this is a very interesting point that today everyone is using AI. So you have to really dig into what is done with the AI, and does it the only tool that you're using, and maybe you need to do other things. So first of all, we took the OCT, we used some filters, then we used the network that we showed you before for getting full convolutional network and to get the probability of one specific layer. Then we want to know the borders, so we use a Sobol operation and we got this border. But these borders are not very precise. So we were using another method that is taken from the computer vision advanced technology, which is not only neural network. And in this case, it's Dijkstra. It's a very strong optimization method that found the best way to pass a good line between the two ends of the picture. And we can see here that the line is sharp, and we don't see those stitches in the middle. So in many cases, the combination of deep learning and other methods give, as you can see here, much better results and more stable in many cases. Okay, so I think that we cover many aspects, and I just want to add here that we are open as a company to very specific things, not only the mainstream needs of the big device companies, but also specific needs from the pharma to analyze images that have importance for the research, and you cannot do this effectively in the manual way. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ron, for this talk. It was really very interesting, a very impressive collection of work. As Ron said, yes, please do send us your questions. We're here to answer them. Any question would be great. We're here to discuss with you, and please do send them. Let's see what we've received so far. Let's see, just a second. I need to open the questions window. Okay. Well, I think maybe somebody missed the first slides of the talk, which is of course very much understandable. So the question is regarding the number of samples required for an AI solution. So I could just say, you know, the real answer is it depends. Okay, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve, but the number of samples doesn't have to be extremely high. Yes, there is a lot of connection and between big data and AI, and definitely AI and deep learning methods are very much useful in order to overcome all kinds of big data hurdles. But deep learning could be very useful even if the number of samples is smaller. Okay, the accurate segmentation, the accurate classification, and definitely quantification could be very much relevant, even if you have only, I don't know, 20 slides, 30 slides, and so on and so forth. As Ron mentioned beforehand, we've done a very nice project with 24 cases. So again, as I've mentioned beforehand, don't let the number of samples deter you. Give us a call, tell us how many samples you have, what are you trying to achieve, and we'll help you get there this way or the other. I hope it answers the question. Let's see
I
another
want to add
question.
here
Yes.
one thing. I would
Yes,
like
Ron.
to add that usually it is very typical to talk about very big data sources, and in some places it really helps, but it's not the only part of the equation. It really depends of what you do with this data and how you get annotation and how you get the information that you need to do the specific work. Because the annotation might be very difficult if you have a huge data set, and it might be very inaccurate, it might be very incoherent between different doctors. So it's not only the number, and we emphasize it, especially when we talk about project management in AI R&D, that it might be not the right solution just to say, okay, if it doesn't work, it is because we don't have enough data. In many cases, the reason might be connected to different annotator, to different technology that you have to use, to different image sources that you didn't handle right. And taking all into account, we understand that all this project of AI has many technologies that come together, and it is not cannot be judged only by the number of samples.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ron, for clarifying. Another question here is, and I think it's actually related, is can you use AI for clinical trials? So firstly, thank you for that question, because we haven't mentioned it, and it's worth mentioning. And the answer is definitely yes. AI is very useful for clinical trials. Many times you have, it all depends if it's clinical trial phase 1 or 2 or 3, but the numbers add up. And there are many things you want to monitor during the clinical trial, and we are doing several projects, not only in ophthalmology, in general pharma modalities and projects that are with regards to clinical trial. Definitely, clinical trials take a lot of time, and they require really a lot of accuracy. and AI is very, very helpful in trying to reduce or to shorten the length of the clinical trial, making it more cost effective, I would say. And there are many other benefits, including completely new clinical insights. Okay, some things that you can do with AI because of the level of accuracy and because of the quantification give you just new looks into the clinical insights that are there. I can't get into details about it right now, but this is definitely a very good solution for clinical trials. And if any of you is involved in clinical trial or is planning to be involved, then by all means give us a call and we'll be happy to help. Another question, let me
Our
see.
experience,
Yes.
I would add that in our experience, the combination, like they say in radiology, that the target is not to take the radiologist out of the equation, but to let him work only on the important things. So at the same token, in the technology that we are using, we can shorten the time while giving the last word or the last indication or the last reviewing for the expert, but it might take maybe 100 times faster because he has a much better way to look at the data and to get only to the very interesting cases. We can compare things automatically and get track of the different point along the treatment, so we can review and automatically calculate volumes and areas, which is very important to get insight into the process.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ron, for clarifying. I agree, of course, 100%. I would say this way that many customers ask us as a rule of thumb, okay, you know, the project's of course more complicated than that, but to differ between normal and abnormal samples. Okay, because when you have a lot of samples, you just want to run through them, okay, and you know the normal samples you can put aside, and the abnormal samples are in most cases the one that you want to dedicate more time to. Okay, so this is something that we hear more and more from customers out there. You know, they have a lot of photos and they need us to filter or to sort the important ones from the not so important ones. Of course, the question what is important changes from one project to the other. It's all up to you, whatever you decide, but we're very good at doing things like that. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so last question for today. Can you combine in-house solutions with RSIP solutions? Okay, I think if I understood correctly, you know, you're asking if we can do things in parallel to in-house solutions. Ron, would you like to take that?
Yes, generally we work very closely with the development team. So if you have part of the solution that already in place, or you want to work together, in our experience, it will work very efficiently. With the weekly meeting with the R&D teams, and also whenever need much more intensive communication during integration or some testing. We are very experienced with that as well. So we found out that it really helps because usually our clients knows a lot of insights about their problems, while we have a lot of experience in the general computer vision and AI that can merge into the specific area. So the combination works very good, and we really like to work with the existing solutions together and with the team inside the company.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ron. So I think we've run out of time, or we've completed our time slot. I'll start by saying that I encourage you to stay tuned for our next webinars. We do 1 or 2 a month these days. So I encourage you to join us and to either find us on LinkedIn, where we usually post posts about the next webinar, or if you want us to notify you directly, drop us an email and we'll be happy to notify you. I thank you very much for joining us today. I think it was a great talk. And again, if you have any questions, I know we didn't manage to answer all the questions. We just, we ran out of time. Then by all means, contact us directly, drop us an email, give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer them. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.